Jennifer Gutierrez-Caldwell has been described as a change agent. Where others see hopeless poverty, she sees opportunity for change and a way forward.
I literally believe I was put on this earth to be an advocate, a voice for folks that just don't have a voice. And that's pretty much how I've informed all my career choices. How can I make sure that I am still this advocate for folks that are part of marginalized communities? And how can I be a voice for those that, again, don't have a voice?
Advocacy has followed her throughout her life. A Gates Millennium Scholar, she earned her master's in social work from the University of Pennsylvania. Later, as Director of Diversity and Inclusion at Wofford College, she worked to improve diversity on campus. She's now part of the leadership team at Pendleton Place in Greenville.
The Connections Count program works with young adults aging out of foster care. And we're really excited now because we've been providing independent living services for young adults aging out of foster care, developing life plans with them, helping them when they're in crisis, and helping them accomplish certain goals within education, employment, childcare, mental health. But now we are in the process of opening up a youth drop-in center that's going to expand the services that we're already providing and be able to provide independent living services for runaway homeless youth, and then also have a space where runaway homeless youth can come and seek even basic needs such as laundry services, showers, a hot meal, mailboxes, all of these different barriers that sometimes are presented to young adults experiencing homelessness that we're hoping to kind of break down and get them to self-sufficiency and independence.
She sees a caseload of about 12, limited by capacity, but she says the need is far greater.
There's so many young adults that are aging out of foster care and don't really have that safety net. So, sometimes we think about, who are we going to call when we're in crisis or when we need some support around maybe an employment type of question or a childcare kind of need. Most of us have a family member or a supportive friend that we can call, but our young adults that we're working with don't have anyone to call when they're in that time of need. 1 out of 5 young adults aging out of foster care will end up on the street and homeless. But in South Carolina, that number grows, and it's actually 1 out of 4 young adults aging out of foster care are going to end up on the street. And so the need is huge. And so a lot of what we want to do is make sure that they're aware of the resources in our communities.
And you mentioned mentorship.
Yes.
And that's a part of the program. And why is that important to this effort?
Absolutely. So we do have a mentoring component to our program. And so we want to make sure, as I mentioned earlier, we're expanding their network, right? So yes, to community services, but also to other people. One relationship, one healthy relationship can change the path of someone's life.
And Jennifer Gutierrez-Caldwell knows well how the influence of one person can be life-changing. She experienced it while still in high school, growing up in South Central Los Angeles.
I went to an incredible high school that had a zero tolerance policy for fighting, and it was like my freshman year. I was in 9th grade, and there was sort of an altercation I was a part of, and it was because of incredible administrators and educators that saw something in me and said, okay, we're going to work with you here, and were able to give me an opportunity to stay in the school, and actually Miss Thigpen, Tabitha Thigpen, who was an incredible educator, at that point was the French teacher. And she was my French teacher, and she says, Jennifer, you have a lot of energy that you're putting out into the earth. Why don't we kind of like steer that into my leadership class, apply for my leadership class, and see kind of where you go with that. And I ended up applying for a leadership class. I ended up then running for class president, and I felt like truly there. I know it was like so early on, but that put me on the track that I needed to be on. And I think that ever since then, I've had this like leadership mentality of like all these things that are possible if I just kind of, work hard and stay focused. And it was really because of that incredible educator.
But it wasn't just her French teacher who had a major impact. Her immigrant parents raised 5 girls in Los Angeles. They had moved from Latin America, her dad from El Salvador, her mom from Mexico.
My mom fled poverty. She grew up so impoverished. They hardly ever had any money to eat. My mom tells me stories about when she had to go down to like riverbanks and use some of the sand to brush her teeth because she didn't have money for toothbrushes. My dad, if you're familiar with a lot of the history in Central America, there were tons of civil wars. The U.S. had their hand in some of the issues that happened in Central America too. So my dad, grew up, I think he was 6 years old when his mom passed, 11 by the time his dad passed, in the middle of a civil war. Of course he wanted to flee his country and come to the United States. When I'm having rough days, I draw on them. My mom has a house cleaning service and my dad's a landscaper, kind of stereotypical, but it's what they do. And my mom, there were days that she had to work, when she was tired. She had all these girls to take care of, and so much to do, but found the strength somewhere to kind of keep going. Would clean 4 or 5 houses a day. So sometimes I'm at my desk and I'm tired, I need some extra coffee. I'm like, okay, I can't complain, I gotta keep going, I gotta do this. And also to make them proud. Give them really a reason. Like, they came here for a reason, and I want to show them that they were right in doing so, and I want to just kind of keep making them proud.
Given your own history, the immigration issues that we're facing today continue, and what needs to be done?
So I'll be perfectly honest, it makes me scared, and it makes me sad to think about where we currently are as a country, especially around immigration. A few years back, especially when I was in graduate school, there was tons of work that I was doing for immigrant rights, and the deferred action had just come out, so DACA for childhood arrivals. I thought we were getting to a place where we're going to be able to help so many, dreamers come out of the shadows, being able to, be contributing, not even contributing because they're already contributing, but being able to truly be in the forefront and do things that they wanted to do. As a product of 2 immigrant parents, I know that we have the capacity, the capabilities to do so much if just given that opportunity. But where we find ourselves today, I just think that we need to start opening our hearts, our minds, and understanding why it is that folks are wanting to come to this country.
But how do you answer the question on the other side of people who say America can only take so many people and there are only so many jobs?
Absolutely. So I think that there's that conversation that needs to happen, right? I think that we have to understand our role and our role in some of these countries as well. I think that we have to kind of hear that other side, and there's just a better way to do this.
And she draws from her own experience as a little girl when she would help her mom at work.
So I kind of started going with her, and as we were like scrubbing toilets and like doing all these things in these houses, she would tell me, Jennifer, in Spanish, because she doesn't speak English, if you don't want to be here scrubbing toilets with me, you need to get an education. You have to get an education. That's the way out of this life.
And now with a young daughter of her own, she is putting that philosophy to work at home and in her career. What would your advice for young women be?
My advice for young women today would be, don't let anyone tell you it's not possible. I think, growing up in my incredible household, it was awesome. My father, he probably admit to this, that he was a very sexist man, very machista, from Latin America, believed that a woman's place was in the kitchen, and you wouldn't let me do certain things that were outside of what he considered my role to be as a woman. And we fought, we butt heads so much because of the fact that I wanted to do so much. And so, but there were some really strong women in my life, my mom included, that kept pushing me and kept telling me that don't let anyone tell you that something's not possible. And sure enough, you just work hard enough, you can beat any obstacle in front of you, any barrier put in front of you. And if you see it, you can accomplish it.